Welcome back to another episode of my channel. So before we make this gourmet vindaloo, we're going to be using corn. Good for vegetarians, but feel free to add any pre-cooked meat, etc. So let's start with the spices, because vindaloo is all about the spices, because it's all about the sauce, and you haven't got a good sauce if you don't get your spices right. So definitely, let's start with fennel. Half a teaspoon of fennel. A vindaloo with no fennel, or any really spicy curry with no fennel, is like having a bed without a pillow, in my opinion. So we need that black pepper, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1.5 teaspoons of coriander seed, 1 teaspoon of cumin seed. Always use a little less cumin than coriander. 4 cloves. 2/3 of a teaspoon of fenugreek seed. You can have that amazing meaty flavour throughout the dish. And I'm using some desiccated coconut, but I'm going to treat it just like a spice. It's going to toast up. Anybody that knows the benefits of toasting coconut, you just get an amazing taste. And 4 Tarka chilies. These are Kashmiri chilies, and I'm using them for colour. So we're just going to turn the heat on. I'm going to roast those spices for 3 minutes on a medium heat. As soon as everything smells great and the seeds start to crackle, we're going to blend them, and we're going to make our nice masala spice mix for our sauce. We'll come back shortly. As the chilies are quite large, cut them up with scissors. So they have a little bit of moisture in them, and you want them to roast slightly and dry out to be powdered. I've decided to add a little bit more coconut. Remember, Goa is the origins of vindaloo. Although this is a best of both worlds curry, I would say. We're going to be using some British techniques with the corn and the base gravy, but the spices are definitely pretty authentic. Now, I want a red sauce. I've got 1 Scotch bonnet, 2 fully ripened tomatoes, and a medium red pepper. I'm going to blend that up and make a great paste so we can avoid that awful curry powder. Sorry, did I say curry powder? I mean food colouring. Okay, this is just right now. Let's blend it. So let's heat that up the pan, but first, look at that. That's the blended tomatoes, the Scotch bonnet pepper or chilli. You can use any red chilli you want. Along with those tomatoes. Look at that sauce. I personally think food colouring is for kids' sweets. People eat with their eyes, but if it's not real, I don't want to include it. So, there's about 3.5 tablespoons of oil there. And the pan's nice and hot. Got a little bit of tomato there, doesn't matter. I'm using 350 grams of corn, and like I mentioned earlier, feel free to use lamb, whatever meat you want, fish. This is all about the vindaloo, not really the main ingredients. It's all about the sauce, it's all about the flavour. So we're just going to brown that off a little bit, seal it as it were, on the edges. Sear. So that's been about 2 or 3 minutes. I've given it an occasional stir. Just going to put that corn to the side, and we'll come back. Doesn't matter about the burn bits. You don't need to clean your pan or anything. And before you can't hear me for the sizzle, because the ginger and garlic already has oil in it when it was blended, tablespoon of ginger and garlic, sizzle that off. And next we're going to add that amazingly nice and red sauce that we made earlier. I didn't add any water. It has enough moisture content to blend without adding water. So what we're going to do is scrape all that delicious caramelization off the bottom of the pan, and we're just going to get rid of the raw taste or flavours out of this sauce. Looking good already. So it's come to a nice boil. Here we have our vindaloo masala that we made earlier. It looks a lot, but remember the coconut is about half of that anyway. I wanted it a bit more coconutty than I initially intended. What we're going to do, add a good pinch of salt. Salt's always to taste. teaspoon and a half of turmeric, and we've got some extra hot chili powder. I want this hot. It's very disappointing if Vindaloo doesn't make your eyes stream and your nose run. We want something hot. Give that a good stir, 1.5 minutes. We'll come back. So that's essentially our Vindaloo paste there. Hasn't got too much oil in it at the moment, but don't worry, we're able to split the oil because there's oil content in the base gravy that we're going to be adding shortly, and it's heating up now. But first I'm just going to add those corn pieces and make sure they're well coated at this stage when the paste is concentrated. Sucks up all that flavour. So the mix has started to dry out, so everything's well cooked, but it's not catching to the bottom of the pan. So we've got some base gravy, and for anybody who doesn't know what base gravy is, you can type it into my channel, Stephen Heap Base Gravy. I've got about 4 or 5 to choose from, and I'm going to add about 200 millilitres of base gravy that's been preheated up. We're going to give that a good stir. So make sure everything's really loosened up because we had quite a thick paste there in the beginning. So give it a good stir, make sure it's well mixed. As soon as it's well mixed, we're just going to turn the heat up and sizzle it off. That's on a nice bubble now. Finally, some base gravy. There was about 100 millilitres there that I've really watered down just to get that nice smooth sauce at the end. Just going to give that a good stir again, let it come to the sizzle. So that's been reducing down now with that really thin base gravy, splashing all over the kitchen. I'm ready with the spray and the cleaner to clean my cooker once again and the surrounding walls. So look at the consistency now. That's just right. Squirt of lemon juice. Generous tablespoon. I'm not going to serve it. How it looks like when it's served, the picture of that is on the thumbnail of the video that you've clicked on to watch this video. But hope you've enjoyed the video. Feel free to adapt. Instead of using corn, use some other meat, fish, prawn, vegetable, etc. Okay, thanks for watching.